Pure Maths 1 students. Today, first of all, I want to apologise for the length of the previous video. It blew out. I didn't realise how long it was. So, what does factorial notation look like? So, here we go. Okay, if we write something like factorial, this is what it means. It means n multiplied by n minus 1 multiplied by n minus 2 multiplied by n minus 3, etc., all the way down to times 3 times 2 times 1. Now, let's start off with some simple factorials. So why don't we do 1 factorial? So that exclamation mark, we just say 1 factorial. So 1 factorial is equal to 1. So I'm just going to pop that out over here. 1. 2 factorial is equal to 2 multiplied by 1. So that is 2. 3 factorial is equal to, is equal to 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. 4 factorial is equal to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 24. 5 factorial is equal to 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 120. 6 factorial is equal to 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 720. And I think you can see as we move up, it's going to get bigger very quickly. Well, we are told in the exercise that you need to know that 0 factorial is equal to 1. Well, how so? Well, you can see a pattern that's going on here. To get from 720 to 120, we divide by 6. To get from 120 to 124, we're dividing by 5. To get from 24 to 6, we're dividing by 4. To get from 6 to 2, we're dividing by 3. To get from 2 to 1, we're dividing by 2. So we just assume that this pattern continues on, and 1 divided by 1 will give us 1 here. Anyway, what we know is that, well, we say 0 factorial is 1. Okay, so that's factorials. Now, you can find the factorial button on your calculator. I'm highlighting it here. Hopefully you can see that. So you're going to need to apply the shift button to get to it, but that's the factorial button there. 1 down and 1 to the left from on button on our calculators. Okay, now let's do an example of this. Let's say you've been asked to find 7 factorial divided by 5 factorial. Now obviously you can do this in a calculator, but it's nice to be able to figure these things out in our head. We can say, well, we could do it the long way, couldn't we? 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And at this point you should be seeing, I see I could cancel out all of these like this and like this, and you're left with 7 times 6 is 42. Well, so what we can say with this, another way of writing it is 7 times 6 times 5 factorial over 5 factorial, and you can see when you write it like that very easily that your answer is going to be 42. Okay, so that's the first set of notation that we need to be aware of today. The second is, let's see, the second thing that we need to be aware of is this here, this notation. This notation here is used in statistics in an area called combinations, and we're going to come to that in our Stats 1 course a bit later on. I'm not going to go into a full explanation of it now. I'll just show you what it is and what it does, and we'll talk more about this in our Stats course. So we're going to say, how we say this is we say N choose R. Okay, in its long form we can write it out like this. It's equal to N factorial over N minus R multiplied by R factorial. And so perhaps I'll give you an example of this. You might have something like this. And you might say, well, okay, what does 6 choose 4? 6 choose 4 is 6 factorial. And we're going to pop that over 6 minus 4 into 4 factorial. Okay, now let's simplify this. We could, okay, so we could just write this out as 6 times 5, and then I'm going to times it by 4 factorial, so I can cancel that 4 factorial on the bottom out. 6 minus 4 is 2, so it's 2 times 4 factorial, and you should be able to see that cancels out that, and we're left with 30 over 2, or 15. But I want to alert you to the fact that you also have a button for this on your calculator. If you look underneath the power button, I'm trying to highlight it here, just where your division button is on your calculator, you'll see a little NCR, or N choose R. To access that button, you're going to need to apply the shift button as well. Now, if you try on your calculator and you go 6, and then go shift NCR, you should get the correct answer. So let me just try this myself now. 6, yep, shift NCR button, 4, and you'll get the answer of 15. So you can use that button there. Alright. Okay team, I want to give you a hint at why this choose notation, N choose R notation is helpful. And so here's my hint to you. And I'd be interested to see it in our next Zoom session if you can figure out what's going on here. So let's say I did 2 choose 0, and when I write that on my calculator, that's equal to 1. And if I do 2 choose 1, that's 2. And if I do 2 choose 2, that's 1. Now, if I get my calculator and do 3 choose 0, I get 1. If I do 3 choose 1, I get 3. If I do 3 choose 2, I get 3. If I do 3 choose 3, I get 1. One more line. Let's do 4 choose. 4 choose 0, I get 1. If I do 4 choose 1, I get 4. If I do 4 choose 2, I get 6. If I do 4 choose 3, I get 4. If I do 4 choose 4, I get 1. Now I want you to pay very careful attention to the results that I've got here. You can see here, and here, and here. Do those numbers look familiar? Okay guys, take care and see you next time.